Welcome, Summoners, to Games Cast by Pan and Nero. If you wish to see more commented games, follow my social media pages below.
But they are banning out. Lee Sin's our first one. I do expect to see Eve or Xin Zhao banned out next from them. ANEXIS really doesn't need to ban out anything specifically. They can just keep with the standard bans, likely of Xaxus. Probably someone like a Blitzcrank. And whatever they feel like after that. They snowballed game one so incredibly hard. It was pretty ridiculous. They can basically do whatever they want this game, as they really didn't see any threat from the last set of 5 champions. And RisC really needs to ban out the Xin Zhao, and they need to ban out Eve. No questions about it. Just ban those 2 champions, get them out of the pool. But apparently they're going to go with a Mumu. Don't like the choice, as they were completely wrecked last time by Xin Zhao and Eve. And apparently they didn't learn from their last game, as they banned out Nocturne as well, banning out 3 junglers. Orianna banned up by ANEXIS. And I think something like a Blitzcrank, possibly an Eve themselves, if they don't want to see it on the enemy team. But at this point, they can ban out freely whoever they want. RisC will likely pick up an AP mid early, like they did last time. They decided to ban out Aurelia. Interesting choice. I'm not sure how well anyone on that RisC team does play Aurelia, but Twisted Fate is first picked. And if you're first pushing Twisted Fate, you better have one amazing Twisted Fate player, because he can be easily countered. And there we go, seeing Shen likely picked up, in addition to Ryze, which really did well last game. And there you go. That's why you don't first pick Twisted Fate very often. You don't see Twisted Fate first pick very often, as they can easily pick someone like Shen, and Shen can just teleport anywhere he wants and really stop those ganks or even turn them on their heads, especially after the last game, as they really just got kind of crushed. And it looks like we do have Malphite and Lulu up for the RisC team. I think that would be a very fine pickup. Malphite can either go into the jungle, he can go mid or top. And yes, they do go with him. And it's also a really nice combo for team fights. Malphite can just jump in, Lulu pops the ultimate on top of him, and they can get a double knock-up for a real ton of damage. Looks like Eve might be up for Nexus again, and yes, that is Eve. Eve will be likely be top lane again, with Misfortune down bottom. And other than it looks like Shen in the jungle, and other than Shen, there's nothing different about this lineup, and I think it's going to go basically the same way as last game, with Ryze and Eve really snowballing their lanes, and Misfortune and whoever the support is are just going to push down and bully whoever really fights them. There's not a whole lot that RisC did well in the first game, and they let ANEXIS get basically the exact same lineup. And for support, let's see, RisC really needs an AD carry, and they need either a top laner or a jungler. I could see Xin Zhao being picked up for them, but give them another way to just initiate these fights and actually bring 3 knockups to the play, as Malphite could jump in with his ultimate, Lulu pop her ultimate, then have Xin Zhao pop his 3-talon strike, and they could just keep someone locked up in a basically uncleansable way for a good while. It looks like they're going to go with Mundo and Graves, going for a very tanky lineup. I'm not sure they're going to have the damage late game to really deal with the ANEXIS lineup. Graves does decent damage, Mundo does decent damage, Malphite and Twisted Fate both do good burst damage, but none of them do that real big damage that's needed to kill off someone like a Shen or even a Misfortune really quickly. And they're not going to have a really good shot at bursting down those shields either, because Eve has a very powerful shield. You're going to have Misfortune picking up the barrier to prevent that burst damage from Graves coming out. And even Shen will be able to pop his ultimate on basically whoever he chooses, and they should easily be able to escape with relatively 0 problems. And it looks like Nami might be the pickup here, as I can get behind a Nami pickup. That's a nice counter to the big ultimate combo of Malphite, Lulu, and even a decent counter to Twisted Fate. As soon as Twisted Fate pops his Destiny, Nami can throw out her bubble and pick him up as soon as he lands, preventing him from really doing anything. It's a nice kind of soft counter to Twisted Fate. In addition to that, she has a heal, so she can trade fairly effectively with Lulu and Graves, even though she is fairly weak on her own. She just does not have a whole lot in terms of damage or really support ability. She has a good bit of crowd control. Also, her ultimate, rushing over, knocking up every single person, will be a true terror and allow her team to just engage really well, as the movement speed granted by her ultimate is basically ridiculous at this point, and it should allow the ANEXIS team to snowball this game again. The RisC team just did not learn very well from the first game, when they really needed to ban out the Eve and the Ryze. They had a good shot at it, but they just didn't. Looks like we do have Graves picking up Cleanse, so I'm not sure how effective Cleanse is going to be this time, as they don't have any real good cleansable CC on an ANEXIS team. They have a bunch of slows, a few roots, and taunt, but nothing game-breakingly requiring Cleanse. Usually you want to pick up Cleanse if they have something like an Ash Arrow or another big CC that's really potent. And it looks like Lulu has opted for the exhaust this time, though the ANEXIS team still not opting for an exhaust, going with teleports, barrier, heal, and really just going to win all these exchanges, not going to kind of survive them like you do with exhaust. And I'm really curious to see how this Twisted Fate does. That's the one character that's really different for the RisC team. Everything else feels kind of the same. You have a nice big tanky jungler, a fairly tanky top laner, and a safe mid lane, or safe bottom lane. But Twisted Fate is the big difference from last game, as they had an Eveyor last game. This game they have Twisted Fate, and I'm not sure how well Twisted Fate's gonna do. He's not gonna be able to gank bottom very well. Shen can easily counter him if he goes anywhere but top, as I don't think Eve is even going to be in question at this point of ganking, especially compared to her last game where she could just stay back and kind of farm. I also don't expect to see a lane swap this game. The RisC team tried that last game, but they had no success whatsoever with it, as Eve basically got standard farm and was actually ahead of the lane swapped Olaf. And it led to Zenzao on the ANEXIS team first game picking up several kills and basically ending the game by about the 7 or 8 minute mark. The big question here is what can Mundo do to stop Shen from really getting a good start? I'm not sure their lanes are strong enough to prevent Shen from getting that start. And someone like Ryze or Eve can really turn around those fights, as they're fairly mobile champions, and they are able to keep Mundo kind of at bay if he tries to invade the jungle. I just don't see a good opportunity for Mundo to counter jungle and really put pressure on Shen. And their level 1 team fight is okay, but the level 1 team fight from ANEXIS is much stronger, with a taunt from Shen, Aqua Prison from Nami, and the Rune Prison from Ryze, in addition to just the very heavy damage of the Eve of Misfortune. I wouldn't want to try to invade that team, especially with their mix of defensive summoner abilities, being able to pop barrier when you're low, pop heal when someone gets low, and should be able to keep everyone in pretty good conditions for most of the game. Okay, there we go. And it looks like for skins, we do have Glacial Malphite and Corporate Mundo with Warlord Shen and Dark Crystal Ryze out as well. And at this point, I'm really worried about that Twisted Fate in mid lane, especially because Ryze has teleport as well. Anytime Twisted Fate tries to pop his ultimate, Ryze can teleport down there, Shen can pop his ultimate, and there's just not a good way for him to ultimate this game. He kind of just got countered, and that's why you pick safely for your first pick or two. But this is, for RisC, their job is to stay alive in the lane and get to a nice team fight where they can throw the Malphite ult down, pick someone up with Twisted in combo with a Twisted Fate, Lulu, and Graves, is bursting someone down. The ANEXIS team doesn't have very many super tanky champions. Shen and Ryze get fairly tanky. But Misfortune, Eve, and Nami are never that tanky. And if they can get bursted down, they might have a chance. But they really need to not have a terrible laning phase like they did in the first game. And we're about to see the game get started here as soon as Lulu finishes loading up. And for this game, ANEXIS is definitely my favorite, especially coming off that game 1. And it looks like it... Will there be any shenanigans early? I don't think there are going to be any. Basically, fairly standard stuff all around, though there is a pause. It looks like Malphite going for the Crystalline Flask and bunch of wards build, or a bunch of potions and wards build. We do see Ryze going for boots, Eve going for boots as well, Misfortune going for that Duran's Blade. And we have not seen what Shen picks up, but it will likely pick up a machete and potions. We do have Twisted Fate picking up boots as well. And it looks like there was a disconnect. So we will hope they are back in just a moment. As you really don't want to disconnect in one of these tournament games. The red team has pinged like they are trying to invade with it, or could just be setting up a very solid defense, but I think they might actually try to invade at this point. The level 1 is superior, not significantly so, as neither team's level 1 is that great. But there we go, there's Mundo reconnecting. And we should see this pause breaking out pretty soon. Come on, Mundo, you can make it. And there we go, there's the ready check. And I do think ANEXIS might try and invade here. With the Shen taunt and Nami Aqua Prison, they do have a good shot at picking someone off. But the big problem is Graves Buckshot and Twisted Fate Gold card could easily turn that around if they don't finish someone off quickly. And I think both teams are good. I do think it would be wiser to just play it safe, play it kind of standard. And is that the stream lagging or the pause lagging? Okay. Let me try refreshing the stream real quick. Okay, looks like the stream is just lagging at this point. Let me go fiddle and see if there's another stream of this game. Or if, I'll leave this up, see if we can actually get it fixed. But who knows. Okay, there we go. Apparently he had actually just paused the game. Oh, fun. Fun, fun, fun. Okay. Nothing too interesting going on. Both teams kind of playing it defensive. Watching all their entrances like they should. And now we're just going to kind of have a standard start. I don't think either team really wants to fight this out. We do have Shen picking up the machete, Mundo and machete. Lulu going with an interesting build, picking up a lot of wards and potions instead of going for that early Crystalline Flask. Nami with a Crystalline Flask and a bunch of wards and potions. Looks like Nami's trying to get in here and at least be annoying, possibly steal some experience. But yeah, nothing much going. Nice try with the Aqua Bubble, slowed Mundo down and made him take a little bit of extra damage. But Shen's going to start with the blue buff, Mundo with the red, and let's see what happens. The question is, will Mundo immediately gank with that buff? I don't think he's going to, as he was kind of spotted doing the red buff. Shen will be doing a smiteless blue buff. I like that choice, as he will save the smite for red buff and probably immediately go there, as Mundo could pick up his blue buff in a real quick spot and beat him up there. But I do think he's just going to kind of standard jungle it out. You have type versus Malphite. Malphite should win this lane, but it's not going to be significantly so. Graves and Lulu are going to be up against Nami and Misfortune. Misfortune should have a nice time in this bottom lane. Same thing with Graves, is I don't think Graves is going to have the killing power to really finish off anyone. And I don't think either side is going to really do a whole lot. They're just going to kind of farm it out. Though Malphite's taking a lot of harassment up top. Mundo is here. And will they be able to get onto Eve? Looks like they do throw down the slow, and Eve will be in a bit of trouble. Mundo lands the cleaver, but she does pop. Run fast, and there we go. Looks like down bottom Lulu did take a good bit of damage as well. But not a whole lot. As they are, both sides are in pretty good shape, and they're just going to be able to pop potions. But that is a small victory for the blue team this time, as they have not given up a kill yet. First game they've given up a kill by this point, and they've almost given up 2 kills by this point. And it looks like we are going to have mostly just standard farming. I don't think there's going to be anything interesting. Shen might try for a gank in the mid lane, but I don't think Twisted Fate's getting anywhere close to that minion wave anytime soon, as it is stacked up heavily in his favor, though Shen does flash taunt and lands it perfectly. They do stack their CCs a little bit, but this will be first blood. Nice flash taunt there by Shen, getting him just in range for the rune prison, and that was impressive. Even though they did stack their CCs a little bit, I don't think it mattered, as there was no way Twisted Fate was getting out of that. And that's the coordination that ANEXIS has that RisC doesn't. ANEXIS just doing a really good job, both this game and last, of coordinating their team together, and we just saw that right there. Getting first blood for the mid laner, and preventing Twisted Fate from getting his quick level 6 and ganking. He's going to be really far behind at this point. And the bottom lane looks like Nami and Misfortune are winning out, as the sustain from Nami is just a little too much. So it looks like Shen is coming in for a gank. Misfortune slows to make it rain. The Aquaprince does miss, but a nice taunt means that Lulu will go down. And another kill picked up by Shen. And that's exactly what you don't want to see for RisC. This looks exactly like game 1, with someone snowballing it pretty heavily. And whew, as I said, this looks exactly like game 1, and game 1 was not very pretty. We do have Ryze picking up his tier of the Goddess, likely going for a Catalyst into Rod of Ages like he did the first game. We do have Shen picking up the Madrid's Razor. And it looks like I'm not sure if he's going to actually upgrade that or just kind of leave it at the Madrid's Razor. I've seen a lot of Shens kind of leave it there and just use it for kind of clearing early. We do have Eve picking up a Doran's Ring. In addition to Misfortune picking up that Vampiric Scepter, Ryze going to throw out some big damage on the Twisted Fate. But Ryze is in a lot of trouble as Mundo does come up here. But Shen is here, and he is going to kind of keep things safe. But there's a nice taunt by Shen, and Mundo is getting low. Will he actually go down? I don't think so. Yo, he does. The last Vorpal Boy does finish him off. And that hurts. That just hurts. Looks like Eve up top is getting some nice farm, beating out Malphite pretty heavily, as Malphite just does not have any way of really stopping this Eve. I'm not sure he's playing it properly, as he hasn't really picked up anything to help him sustain the lane other than a bunch of potions. And he's not really farming well either. That Eve is just walking in, throwing some harass, and he's not returning any harass. If he was able to actually return some harass, it'd be okay, but he isn't. He's just getting bullied out of the lane. And Eve can just pop her passive and get a bunch of mana back. And she does regenerate a lot of mana every single second when she does go invisible. It's like Malphite is still in a lot of trouble with this top lane. Eve has hit 6. Malphite's only level 4. And I'm not sure what he can do at this point. He's down 16 CS. Down bottom, it looks like Misfortune and Nami are zoning out the Graves Lulu. And this just comes down to ANEXIS being a superior team in this tournament. RisC did a good job. Did a decent job first game, and they're doing a decent job of keeping up with them. But the coordination from ANEXIS is really strong. And in the first game and this game, they've just looked like the better team. They've rotated better, and they've really taken objectives when they needed them. Looks like Graves has picked up a longsword in addition to Doran's blade. Lulu going with the early boots to kind of prevent some of that harassment just by getting distance. Twisted Fate picked up Akaga's lucky pick. Mundo with the Spirit Stone. Eve jumping in on Malphite. And there's a good bit of damage traded, but Malphite has hit 6 now. and he does have his ultimate. Twisted Fate is also 6 with his ultimate, and where will we see the first Twisted Fate gank? I think he might try and counter gank down bottom, but Nami and Shen get Lulu pretty low, and will Misfortune be able to finish her off? Yes, he will, with a double up flying in at the last second to get the kill. At this point, Twisted Fate still sitting in the mid lane. Ryze even rotating down bottom, but to no avail. And I think Twisted Fate should gank up top. If Malphite gets enough mana for his ultimate, Twisted Fate can pop his ultimate, and looks like Graves is in a lot of trouble down bottom as the Misfortune flies, but he should be just fine. Though just fine is a relative term, meaning basically not dead at this point, as he is down a fair bit in CS, and with no kills picked up by the RisC team. They're in a bit of trouble at this point. Lulu going for the Philosopher's Stone. We do see the Vampiric Scepter picked up on Graves. Ryze going to be trading some good damage here with Twisted Fate, meaning Twisted Fate's less likely to actually use his ultimate. And at this point, Twisted Fate really does need to get his ultimate going. If he can go up top and hit Eve, they might have a chance. Looks like Eve is going to rotate down, probably scout out the blue buff, though it will realize it's not there anymore. She could also be trying a gank on the mid lane. I think a gank on the mid lane would be a good idea. But there's Lulu here to kind of help out. But Lulu's not going to be that much help against Eve. As there we go, is another kill picked up by Ryze. And this means Lulu is going to go down as well with Ryze. No, it looks like Eve steals at the last second. And that does mean a quick dragon by ANEXIS. ANEXIS playing this really well, rotating. And just punishing every little small mistake by the RisC team. And they are looking good. And it's not RisC is a bad team. It's just ANEXIS is a next level team. They've looked really good every single game. They've rotated well. They pulled off some very well coordinated ganks. And this is a team to watch out for. They're one of the better teams in the qualifiers from what I've seen. Looks like Twisted Fate has gone for the Boots of Swiftness. Just trying to reduce some of those slows and CC abilities. But I'm not sure it's going to be very effective. He's kind of in desperation mode trying to get around the map. But it's not going to be too effective. And he has not even used his ultimate once by the 10-minute mark. He's level 8. And he just needs to find a good way to use his ultimate at this point. If he can use his ultimate to pick up a kill or two, it'll be okay. But the problem is, Shen is now 7. He does have his ultimate up. And is really in a good position at this point. And he should be able to actually save anyone that gets ultimated by Twisted Fate. Looks like Misfortune has completed the Bloodthirster. Ryze is about to complete up his Rod of Ages. He's taking some good damage from Malphite, but it looks like there's a Twisted Fate. As Eve does get hit, but the ultimate by Shen does save Eve, and Ryze teleporting up. That's exactly what I said. Twisted Fate had a good window when Shen wasn't 6, but he was, where he could have done something, but nothing came of it. And the double shield put on by Eve means she lives, and they die. Nice Aqua Prison hitting too. Misfortune does get exhausted, but Graves is in a lot of trouble and will be picked off. Will Lulu die as well? I don't think so, as I don't think they want to dive it. But Ryze is just going to kill Mundo under tower, and will he actually finish this off? Yes, he does. As this Ryze is way too strong at this point, and this is looking exactly like game number 1. With Ryze snowballing it to victory. In addition to the jungler from ANEXIS doing an amazing job of rotating and picking off every little kill he can. And I just feel sorry for RisC at this point. They just don't have any way to really get back in this game. They tried to use the Twisted Fate ultimate to get back in there, but that was countered by Shen. And Shen just can teleport anywhere Twisted Fate can, and they're on similar cooldowns. Even though Twisted Fate's ultimate does come up a little earlier, it's not that much earlier. And it looks like Graves and Lulu are going to be taking these double golems. Though it's not going to keep them in this game, as Misfortune is up 40 CS. And they are completely zoned thanks to that early Shen gank, which gave Misfortune a 1.5 level lead. And it looks like Ryze is going to be in a little bit of trouble, but he should be okay, as he is just way too strong at this point as Twisted Fate goes down. And he's going to turn on Mundo. Will they be able to land the taunt on Mundo? No, Mundo does flash away, though Ryze jumps in there and throws out the big damage, finishing him off. Ooh, this Ryze is legendary and is really dominating at this point. You got that early first blood. He's managed to pick up the Rod of Ages. He has a tier, and it's Ryze. Ryze just has so much consistent damage. It's scary. And this is probably the reason why they picked Ryze early. And this Twist of Fate just has not had a good day today. He's not been able to get anything off. His ultimate has only been used once, which led to a double kill for ANEXIS. And ANEXIS is really doing a good job. They're taking objectives. They have picked up Dragon earlier. They're up 4 towers to none. And it looks like even Eve is bowling around this Malphite, as Eve just has more CS at this point, in addition to the kill and assist. And really is just keeping Malphite away from the lane at this point. I thought Malphite would have a good time against Eve and basically make it a farm off. But apparently not so, as Miss Fortune does jump in there and does not get to finish off Mundo. But she does, I believe, get the steal onto Red. But thanks to the fact I don't have actual control of this directed camera, I can't go look at that. But oh well, as we do see Shen and Nami rotating down bottom to try and kill Graves off. I think Graves is going to be able to be killed, though Eve's going to run up there and throw some big damage on Mundo, and Mundo goes down. Looks like Shen coming up here onto Graves, and Graves is in a lot of trouble. Will Shen be able to taunt him? I don't think it matters, as the Aqua Prison lands from Nami, and there's another kill. Scores 0-14, with a 9,000 gold lead for ANEXIS on the red side. And this is just looking over at this point. There is not a whole lot they can do. They try, the RisC team tried, they had some good strategies planned, but ANEXIS is just better. Nothing more than that. I think if RisC played a lesser team, they would have a good shot, but this is the Season 3 qualifiers, and Season 3 qualifiers means you're going to be playing some really good teams. Looks like Twist of Fate and Mundo are going to try and get on the Nami, but I don't think anything's going to really happen, as RisC has not gotten a single kill in any of these games. ANEXIS has looked very strong in every single one of them. And it looks like they're going to stop pursuing, but Ryze is going to come down here and he's going to fight it. And with Miss Fortune here to apply some big damage on Mundo, there's Mundo going down. This Mundo has not worked out very well either, as his ganks have turned into kills on himself. He just doesn't have a very good ganking potential. He doesn't have the ability to do a whole lot if he gets shut down early, and he's been shut down early this game. Looks like we will have the Nexus tower and likely, inhibitor tower and inhibitor likely going down here at about 16 minutes, right where we had it last game. Fate doing some decent damage, but Nami able to just heal up anyone that gets in trouble. He's taking some good damage from Malphite, but Malphite does jump in there, and Malphite will not be able to pick up the kill. The first inhibitor does go down at 16 minutes, and Eve gets away just barely. I was thinking Malphite had a good shot at killing her, but she's just a little too fast for him. And we do see a Chalice up onto Malphite. Philosopher's Stone up onto Lulu. Graves with the Avariance Blade and Vampire Scepter, but Mundo's going to go down here if Ryze can land another imprisonment. No. Flash taunt by Shen. And Graves is forced to flash away. It is just not looking good for RisC. There's nothing they can really do at this point. It is a 10,000 gold lead. You do have Twisted Fate picking up the Kage's lucky pick, and likely into the Sheen, and yeah, he's ahead of his team, but he's still really far behind. Looks like we have Spirit Stone and Mercury trades up on Mundo, and he's likely going to go for the Aegis of the Legion next. We do have, looks like Archangel's likely going for probably going to go for the Frozen Heart next on Ryze, as he's picked up the Rod of Ages and the Archangel Staff. Shen has picked up the Lucky Iron Solari, in addition to stacking armor with the Wriggles Lantern, Ninja Tabi, and an additional cloth armor. Fortunately picked up Brutalizer, likely going Black Cleaver, as Eve just jumps around and harasses Malphite out of lane. She's picked up a Bloodthirster and going for the Black Cleaver. We do have Nami going for ability power. Has picked up the needlessly dodged rod. Ryze does jump in here and burns Twisted Fate before he even has a chance. As I said, Nami's completed the needlessly dodged rod and the Sight Stone in addition to Philosopher's Stone. Misfortune jumping in here on Lulu. But I don't think they're going to be in range as Lulu's Glitter Lance slow is just a little too strong. We do have Eve going for the Sewer Penetration build again with the Haunting Guise, Abyssal Scepter, and Sorcerer's Shoes. And looks like Shen's coming up top, and they're going to just pincer in Malphite here as Malphite does not have a chance of escaping. But we did run his ultimate well. He just doesn't have the movement speed at this point to really get away from this Eve. As Eve will continually increase her movement speed the longer she fights. And she will get the reset on it. As there it is, all the outer towers gone at the 18-minute mark. And the Nexus is just going to slow push this to victory. Taunt in there by Shen with a big ultimate by Misfortune means that Twisted Fate is down before the fight starts. Eve popping her ultimate running in there, and she will be able to get a kill here. With Shen popping his own ultimate as well, allowing Eve to stay perfectly healthy. And that is good game. With the super minions pounding in already. And both games ending right before the 20-minute mark. And there's just nothing the RisC team can do. ANEXIS is on the next level and looking really strong. I do think ANEXIS has a good shot at winning. They just looked really good this game. And I was impressed. That was a very impressive showing by the ANEXIS team. And it wasn't that RisC played poorly. It's just ANEXIS played infinitely better. Take a quick look at the in-game score screen, as there was just a bunch of items up on ANEXIS and a lot of components up on the RisC team. Nothing much more than that.
Thank you for watching Games Cast by Pan and Orel. For more commented games, please visit my YouTube and stream channels.